Good evening, you're watching Estuary TV News. Coming up, tonight we mark the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz by visiting a Holocaust exhibition in Hull. We examine a scheme to reduce accident and emergency admissions, and I'll be talking to Keith Thompson about school reunions and the Pink Rose Suite and St Andrew's Hospice raising money for local charities. Welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Hugh Riches. First of all, it's over to James Dunn for the news headlines.
Hello, in the headlines today, stand up for steel in Scunthorpe and more than £10 million to support growth on the Humber and Lincolnshire. Attainment levels at secondary schools across the region have dropped according to league tables published today. Compared to last year, the number of students reaching the benchmark of 5 A-star to C grades, including English and Maths, fell in all 5 of our local authorities, although this does follow a trend showing that attainment levels dropped in English schools as a whole from 61.8% in 2013 to 54.8% last year. Hull was the only local authority that fell below the national average, with just 44.7% of students reaching their targets. Primary school tables show the percentage of students getting to the recommended level 4 or above in reading, writing and maths was below the national average of 79% in all local authorities but the East Riding. The National Stand Up for Steel campaign has launched locally at Tartar Steel in Scunthorpe. It was launched in Westminster earlier this month and is now rolling out in communities where the steel industry is a major influence. Paul McBean, multi-union chair for the Community Union, says it's particularly important in light of recent concerns over Tartar Steel's Scunthorpe plant.
We just want a steel industry going forward. I mean, we have campaigns about the taking over alongs and the selling alongs, but it's not political, this is nothing to do with that. This is just a stand up for steel campaign to make people aware of what could be lost with a foundation industry like the steel industry disappearing from the UK.
New projects worth nearly £25 million across Lincolnshire and the Humber have been announced as part of the government's growth deal. The Humber has awarded £9.9 million for projects including £3 million for Hull's Old Town, £1.75 million for work on a railway bridge on the A18 and £1 million for improvements to the Stallingborough interchange. Greater Lincolnshire got £14.8 million. The money will go towards 5 key projects, including the regeneration of Scunthorpe Town Centre and the Lincolnshire Lakes. Today's announcement are part of nearly £240 million since it was announced. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for so far, but I'll be back tomorrow. See you then.
70 years since the liberation of the Auschwitz concentration camp in Poland, survivors have been returning this week for ceremonies to mark Holocaust Memorial Day. In Hull, a new exhibition has gone on display to ensure that the horrific events of that time are never forgotten. Dan Kemp went to find out more.
A local photojournalist has been to the site of approximately 4.1 million deaths during the Holocaust, and Lee Karen-Stowe from Hull is now displaying her work at the Hull History Centre. It's providing locals with the opportunity to take a glimpse at the UNESCO World Heritage Site, as well as allowing them to explore some of the stories linking prisoners of war with their ancestors.
I visited Auschwitz a year ago today, so it was the 69th anniversary day of liberation, in the hope of meeting female survivors as part of a documentary work I'm doing about women and war. Usually I photograph with an intention of exhibiting the images because I want to share a story or get a message across. So this is really important that these images that I took really to as my own reaction, somebody else saw maybe some power in them or some message in them as well and put them on the boards.
And the launch of the new exhibition has given people in the city the opportunity to share their stories. Julia Kinch's grandmother was liberated from Auschwitz but was never told her story until she entered her teens.
I think she waited until that time to really tell anyone about it. Part of it was protection. She never told my mum or my uncle because she was afraid, or she said to us that she was afraid that if anything similar happened again, she'd kind of labelled them. But when she was in Auschwitz, there were 2 twins who knew that they weren't going to make it out of Auschwitz, and they asked her to tell the story because they knew that they would never be able to.
Dr. Nick Evans, a history lecturer from the University of Hull, also believes it's important to remember those that suffered from our area.
I think it's very important to remember the Holocaust, but particularly our region's involvement in it. Our region received a large number of refugees across Grimsby, Hull, across the wider region, but it also, people in our region died in the famous concentration camp. In particular, Alfred Goschalk, Julie Cohen and a few other people, members of the Jewish community in Hull, had migrated back to Europe before the Second World War. So what we actually found is, through misfortune, remigrating back to Europe, they ended up being victims of Nazism in the death camps of Europe.
And Nick wants more children to hear and understand what happened during World War II.
It's important so they know, so they can't deny. They can't say we never knew. They can't do like many of our generation did and get to A-levels, to university, watching Schindler's List before they knew about the Holocaust. It's important we remember the Holocaust and other genocides since, because killings are going on as we speak, and we need to make sure we stand up and make a difference, and we ask people, what are you doing to stop deaths and murders around the world now?
You're watching Estuary TV News. A little later, coming up this evening, we'll be talking to another of man's best friend in Dog of the Week, and we'll go to Dan Kemp for all the sport. The alumni of Harold School in Grimsby are to hold a reunion, always an excuse to see old friends and compare youthful hopes to mature disappointments, or the other way round. This gathering is held in support of the Pink Rose Suite and St Andrew's Hospice, raising money for breast cancer and other charities. Keith, thank you very much for coming in.
Not a problem.
Tell me, better get the details out of the way first of all. It's like a school assembly here, isn't it? What are the notices?
That's right.
When and where will this reunion be?
It's at the Warehouse in Freeman Street.
Right.
On the 18th of September this year, between 4 o'clock and 8.
So you're giving us a bit of advance warning then?
Yep, I want to try and get as many school teachers there as possible, and also as many pupils as well.
Okay, and the Harold Street School, you were there, when did you leave school?
I left in 65.
And it's in particular, it's a reunion for that generation, the class
Yeah,
of
it's
65?
50 years since we left school, and we're all 65 this year, so we'll all be retiring, most of us anyway.
But anyone's welcome to come to this
Yeah,
particular...
any boy that went to that school is very welcome.
Okay, the school was founded in 1904.
Yep, opened in 1904.
Very unlikely that there'll be any of the pupils from those days coming along.
Nope.
What happened to the school since then? Is it still going?
No, it closed in 73, 74, and I think it was pulled down in the 80s. I'm not sure.
Why?
Don't know.
What's happened to the site now? Can you go back and visit it and revisit old memories?
Well, I don't know if they've built on it, but I can remember them pulling it down. Shame, really. It's a good school.
This is not the first reunion that you've had.
No, we've had several in the past, but I think it must be 10 years since we've had a get-together.
But there is a Harold Old Boys Association.
There was, but we disbanded because people died.
Well, as people do, I'm afraid. It's inevitable, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
But what sort of activities? I mean, were you much more active when you were all... I mean, you're not all that old. If you left school at the age of 15 in 1965,
yeah.
you're not exactly dodgery at this point, are you?
No.
So there must be a lot of you still around.
Yeah, there's quite a few of us still around, and we want to get in touch with the older ones as well. The younger ones will now be in their 40s, who left in 73, 74. So anybody, the more people can get there, the more money we can raise for the two charities.
I think they'll be in their 50s, won't they, the youngest ones?
Yeah, 73, 74, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, more people you can get there, more charities. How many people are you expecting?
Well, the last old boys reunion we had was about 15 years, just the lads, and I think there was about 120. So if I could top that, that'd be lovely.
You're looking for money for these two charities.
Both local.
Both local,
yeah.
Why these particular charities?
Well, I think everybody knows what the good work that St Andrew's Hospice does. Pink Rose Suite looks after people that's got breast cancer, men as well as women, and not a lot of people know that. It's for both sexes.
So how will this reunion be raising money?
Well, what we've done, you can get sealed buckets from St Andrew's and from the Pink Rose Suite, people will just donate whatever they want to on the night. We take them to back to the St Andrews and Pink Rose Suite. They count it out in front of you, and then they give you a receipt. Then hopefully we'll just present it later on.
And you can just hand over the dosh.
That's it.
Excellent, very good causes. Harold Street School, let's just discuss this history of it. Were you happy there?
Fabulous.
Had
a great time.
Picture here of some of your old masters.
Yeah.
And I mean, they remind me of my old teachers as well.
Yeah.
Mine probably a bit more colour photography in mine, but
these were the form masters.
yeah,
The younger ones, I can't honestly remember some of them. I can remember the guys on the top there.
it's almost the stereotype of schoolmasters. There's an awful lot of tweed, and I suspect there are quite a lot of leather elbow patches there as well.
Yeah.
You've got a few characters here. There's one, was it Mad Wally?
Yeah, that was his name, Frank Walsham.
Right.
Absolutely brilliant, top man.
And what did he teach?
I can't honestly remember.
But he was, there were some stories about him.
There were
some
some
suspicions.
Stories. The most outlandish one was apparently, I can't believe it's true, but apparently a lot of the guys used to wear braces in those days, and they opened the window out because this boy was giving him some job and dangled him out.
What, first floor window?
Yes.
By his braces.
Now whether that's true, I don't know, but he did have uncanny knack of telling. He knew who was talking in the class without even to turn around. He just knew. He was just a very clever man.
Well, I had teachers like that. They could see through the backs of their heads, and they could throw a piece of chalk with astonishing accuracy, and it hurt.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, they're the guys.
I want to go back to Mad Wally because there was a connection with espionage going on.
Well, there was a rumour that he was a spy. I mean, I don't know. He had a scar on his cheek, and nobody dare ask him how he got it.
I think we'll have to assume that it was dueling in Heidelberg University against some German officer.
I know he could speak 3 different Nordic languages.
All of this generation of people who taught you in the 1960s, the chances are that they were Second World War veterans.
Yes, I know that Mr. Fretwell was in the Western Desert. Mr. Farrell, I'm not sure if that guy there, I'm sure he was in yeah, that's Mr. Fretwell there. Yeah. I'm sure he was in the Second World War. Well, this guy invented a flamethrower for the British Army, the Dragon.
That's a dangerous work.
This guy, this D.H. Potts, Mr. Potts, he was a Royal Navy Sea Captain.
Really? So he was in which we serve and all that tradition of Second World War in the Royal Navy. You were telling me a story a little earlier about the Western Desert, though.
Yeah.
That service in the Western Desert had hardened you up for teaching boys in Grimsby.
Yeah, there was one particular guy in our year that was always wanting to go to the toilet, or he wanted a glass of water, and this guy said to him, "You're not thirsty, go and get a glass of water." And he brought it and he showed it to him, and he said, "That's all I had to drink for a week, and I had to shave in it as well." He never asked again. Different
generation.
Absolutely.
And a different toughness and a different hardness. We've talked about it's the old boys, Harold Old Boys Association, Harold Old Boys Reunion. It's definitely a boys' school, was it?
It was.
No girls there at all?
The girls were the other side of the wall.
It was. You were that lusty, were you, that there had to be a wall to separate you?
Never
from
the twain shall meet.
Right.
Not until teenage years.
And what would happen then? I mean, would you just sort of hear each other's voices, one playground to another?
Yeah, that was the story. That was it.
You never tried to make contact?
Not me, no. not until I finished playing cricket and football, and then in the 60s you got girls in miniskirts. Then I forgot about cricket and football.
So 1965 was the big year for you.
I think that was it. Yeah.
As you left school.
Went to sea.
And well, a lot of your companions,
a lot
of your generation would have gone to sea.
Or ancillary fish work.
Yep.
On the docks. Yeah.
Would any of them have gone on to further and higher education? Because this is when school leaving age was 15. Would any of them have gone on to colleges?
I don't honestly know.
Courses?
There was a T class, a technical class, that only had a few lads in it. They were the brighter ones.
Right.
And they were clever lads.
And what have you been doing in the last 50 years?
Cleaning windows.
Fair enough. Quite right too.
Yep.
And has it been? Do you feel that your education at Harold Street was a happy time, a happy memory?
Yeah, happy. I want the brightest card in the pack.
I'm sure you were.
No, I want the brightest, but I learnt a lot from school, and just to respect your fellow man, and these people, they drilled it into you. Just respect.
Well, there's a different attitude now, isn't there? Was it a disciplinarian?
Oh, definitely.
Atmosphere?
Yeah, they would meter out the cane if you did anything wrong.
What, you got a whack across the hand?
Yeah,
with a cane.
Happened to me a couple of times.
Do you think that that was a benefit to education? Or do
Well, you knew
think
the
that
difference between right and wrong.
Well, now that that's in more modern times, that people go to prison for doing that.
Right.
For hitting children.
Right.
Probably, understandably. But do you think that
Well,
destroys their education?
we had respect for we had respect for these guys.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly did.
Yeah. Well, if they can hit you, then I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. But we did.
What was your favourite subject?
Geography and history.
Okay.
Which are entwined, aren't they, really?
They were at that age, yes.
But I also like my sport.
Yeah. Well, yes. But you couldn't have sports straight at the school. You had to.
No, we had to walk 1.5 miles to Cleve Fields. We had no facilities there whatsoever.
And the girls had an old bomb site that they could.
Yeah, across the road there was a bomb had fallen, and they made it into a netball place.
Brilliant. Let's just, before we stop, let's just remind ourselves about the reunion. It's going to be at the Warehouse on Freeman Street, 18th of September, 4 till 8, for which charities? The
St Andrew's Hospice and the Pink Rose Suite.
And anybody, is there any phone numbers that people should call to get in touch?
Just at the bottom there.
077 510 29329.
That's it.
Keith, thank you very much
Thank
for
you,
coming
Hugh.
in. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
As we heard earlier in the programme, this week is the 70th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz death camp by Soviet forces in 1945. We asked people on the streets of Grimsby how important they thought it is to remember history's greatest crime.
Oh, that was cruel. It doesn't matter what religion they are. I'm just totally against it. They're still human beings, aren't they, at the end of the day? So I definitely don't agree with any of that. Total cruel. Regarding their religion, no one deserved the way they were treated.
No. Well, it is really, because a lot of the young ones, they don't know about it, do they? So I think, I saw it on TV this morning, they are going to tell the young ones all about it, aren't they?
Yeah, there's some young ladies what's doing it, isn't
yeah, and they should
let them know.
always be remembered, shouldn't they?
It's important because a lot of people died, not just Jews, homosexuals, people with learning disabilities. He was evil, the guy that did it. It's really important because so many people died, and you've got to remember the people that died.
It's just a dangerous thing, isn't it? Doesn't help anybody at all. And man's inhumanity to man, it's just wicked, isn't it? So we should never forget it, never at all.
Well, for what the Germans did, it's got to be, hasn't it? You've got to sympathise with them, because when you see it on the television, it absolutely, well, it scares you. You know, I mean, I've watched several documentaries on it, and it's just scary when you see somebody going through there. So, yeah, I mean, they really were badly trapped, weren't they?
Local hospitals have consistently missed A&E targets in recent months. It's part of a national crisis, and politicians and health bosses often cite the ageing population as one of the issues facing emergency departments. It's led to calls for better community care so people can find help before treatment becomes urgent. James Dunn went to see a scheme in Scunthorpe designed to do just that.
Prevention is often better than cure, and that couldn't be truer than in the case of hospitals. In Scunthorpe, nearly a quarter of the 64,000 people admitted to A&E last year were over 65. But the results of a pilot scheme have shown preventative measures at care homes can dramatically reduce those admissions.
Patients in this home here, they're able to, their numbers of hospital admissions have been reduced, but also that's because they're having more proactive care by giving the support of the care practitioners that's coming in here. It's enabling one-to-one care with the carers. It's enabling them to be proactive in looking at the patients, doing risk assessments, picking up any deteriorating health early so that they can access the appropriate services that's needed to help them to stay at home and be cared for at home if that's appropriate.
5 care homes took part in the pilot, in which 2 nurses visited on a daily basis. They've been particularly useful in dealing with pressure sores and hydration, common problems that can lead people into hospital. In some homes, it's cut admissions by up to 60%, which has huge benefits for the NHS as a whole.
Obviously, if we can get in here and perhaps get equipment or medications, etc., on a timely, effective in a timely, effective way, then that prevents any unnecessary admission to A&E, resulting in bed blocking and patients, and as well patients with dementia being taken out of their own surroundings. Obviously, that increases the risks of falls, etc. So, I think it has a very positive effect on the NHS.
But the benefits go well beyond reduced hospital admissions. For patients, they can have a huge impact on quality of life.
For our residents not to have to be taken out of their home to be treated or assessed even has got to be a positive thing, particularly for frail, vulnerable people, those who may have dementia as well. It's definitely a positive thing for everybody concerned.
And now here's the sport with Dan Kemp.
The transfer deadline is starting to loom for our sides, and both Hull City and Scunthorpe United are looking to finalise some business. The Tigers have reportedly had a bid accepted for Lokomotiv Moscow striker Darmian Doy, who also plays for Senegal. The 29-year-old has been away with the country for the African Cup of Nations, and it's currently unclear whether any possible move would be a permanent transfer or a loan deal. Elsewhere, it's been confirmed this morning that Scunthorpe striker Dion Burton has left the club by mutual consent. The 38-year-old has found his playing time at Glanford Park limited this term due to injury, which also cut short his loan spell with League Two York City. He scored 6 goals in 33 games for the club as they won promotion from League Two last season. Last night, the Hull City under-21s beat their Humber rivals Scunthorpe United 3-2 in the under-21 League Cup. A first-half penalty from Johnny Margetts plus Greg Lewis' first goal for the club and an own goal from Charlie Clemenshaw helped the Tigers gain victory in the game at Church Road. Tony Pennock City will be looking at the momentum this victory has given them going into their game on Saturday against Mansfield Town at the KC Stadium, which is free to watch following the Premier League clash between the first team and Newcastle United. Hull Kingston Rovers have said they're close to a sellout ahead of their opening match of the Super League season. They kick off their campaign on Sunday the 8th of February at home to the Leeds Rhinos, and the club have confirmed they only have around 50 seats left in the Colin Hutton stand for the tie. And finally, Hull FC have sent Bobby Tyson-Wilson and Steve Michaels out on loan to Doncaster as part of their dual registration agreement between the Black and Whites and the Championship club. And that's all for the sport.
Time now for Canine Capers. It's Dog of the Week.
He's a staffy. We don't know any details about this dog, but we do think that it could have been spayed at some stage because it is fairly chunky. She doesn't like other dogs, so obviously somebody really needs to think about if they can give this dog an home where they're not going to come against other dogs. But obviously if they're kept on a lead and kept away from others, they'll be fine. So that's another one for rehoming.
That's all we have time for this week, I'm afraid. Our contact details are on the screen. Please do get in touch. But until tomorrow, good evening.